reasons that are beyond the scope of this video, I found myself with some extra time on my hands. And what better time to find myself a fucking hobby? It's exactly what I've done. A buddy of mine gave me some beer brewing equipment about 4 or 5 months ago, and I've basically done nothing with it. Well, that's all about the change. Unfortunately, for a lot of home brewers, the beer making hobby takes a considerable amount of money. And I'm not exactly shitting $100 bills right now, so I decided to work with what I got. I cleaned out my cupboards and came up with a few items that I think might make an interesting concoction. We have some barley. We have some oatmeal. Some ground cinnamon. We have some vanilla extract. Some wheat berries. Some brown sugar. Some coconut. Some cornmeal. Some ground allspice. Some Hunt's ketchup, which we will not be using. And some quick carb, aka waxy maize starch. We don't have any hops, unfortunately, and that's a very important aspect of any beer. But we do have we do have a concoction of tea. We have some wormwood, some cloves, and juniper berries. All of those herbs, I think, would make a good bittering. I think all of them would make a good bittering agent. And I also have some whole bean coffee that I'll use to try to impart a little more color and aroma to this kitchen sink concoction that we have going on here. So I'm about to throw all this in a pot, boil it up, and see what we come up with. All right, I've added about 1.5 gallons of water, and as I'm stirring this around, it smells exactly like a pumpkin coconut pie that I made a couple of years ago, and pretty much has everything that pie had in it except butter. That just might work, but you know what? We're not gonna use that. That's just, yeah, we're not gonna do that. But I'm gonna throw this in the oven for about maybe an hour and a half or so. The reason I'm putting it in the oven is because with all the corn syrup or the cornmeal and the brown sugar, it would have a tendency to scorch the bottom of the pan, and the pan is already been through a lot. So we're gonna throw it in the oven and check it in about an hour and a half. All right, here we have our bittering tea. We have the juniper berries, the coffee, the wormwood, and the cloves. Um, I decided to infuse this tea in with my wort. For one reason, for one thing, it will help impart some color to my wort because my wort's it's a little lighter than I would like it to be. Secondly, as far as its bitterness is concerned, yeah, it's no joke. I've had the pleasure of tasting some awful things in my life, and this is probably up there. And so I have no doubt in my mind that it will help offset some of the sweetness of the wort. But I mean, obviously, I'm not going to add it all together, but just just not very much. It's probably about 8 cups of tea in here, but I'll probably add it until it balances the flavor with the wort once it's done baking. Okay, just let my wort sit in the refrigerator for about 10 hours. I threw about 10 Beano tablets in with it, and looks like I have a complete conversion because my iodine test was non-reactive, so that worked out pretty quickly. Right now I'm heating it up to inactivate the enzyme because I don't want the enzyme working while I'm doing my fermentation. and I will let it cool, pitch my yeast, and rack it. We should see what we get here in about 5 or so weeks. All right, we have two vessels that have been fermenting for 4 and 5 days respectively. The rear vessel contains brown sugar, maple syrup, honey, wheat, barley, oatmeal, cornmeal, vanilla extract, pumpkin, cinnamon, and coconut. The front vessel contains all of the same except the coconut, and it has an addition of pancake syrup and grape juice. Both have been bittered with the wormwood coffee and juniper berry. The front one also contains an active Beano enzyme. Uh, and upon watching the clearing, it seems that the body is starting to look pretty light. That's pretty much what I was hoping for and expecting. The rear one, not so much. It's pretty dredgy back there. I don't know. I might just have to put that one in the secondary. Try to filter it out a little bit to have some room for everything to fall out. But it's pretty thick. Uh, I did, however, use ale yeasts for both of them. The rear one contains an English ale yeast in a tradition of my favorite beer, Newcastle Brown Ale. However, I seriously doubt it will taste anything like Newcastle Brown Ale. But nonetheless, the front one has an English ale yeast. Um, I don't know. I guess that's it. Oh, as you can see, we had to have a little wet T-shirt contest to cool these bad boys down. They were running a little hot. They were pushing about 78 degrees, which is it's a little on the high end for these particular yeast strains. So I threw them in a cold water bath along with some wet T-shirts to kind of try to wick away some of the heat. Got them down to about 70, but I'll throw a fan on them. Probably later on tonight to try to maybe cool them down to about 68. But that's about it. Yeah. So, if you're at all interested in seeing how these turn out, I suggest you go ahead and add me to your YouTube friend list or subscribe or leave a comment suggestion. Because once they're ready to go in about 4 to 5 weeks, I will be posting a video of me tasting them or being rushed to the hospital to have my stomach pumped. Either way. Until then,